This is episode 88 of The Place of Sound, and for the last time ever, I'm your host, Natalie Hall. The Place of Sound is a show that explores the theme of space, or social geography, using sound and listening. This is done through a variety of audio media production formats, so you can expect to do a few different types of listening in a single show. Episodes consist of what we refer to as audio portraits, or oral history-style interviews that explore topics of home, soundscape compositions, which use everyday sounds to communicate the personal and social significance of a given place, and we typically end the episode with a short documentary-style piece that explores the place-based identity of the producer. The aim with these projects is to allow the producer to think about the places that made them who they are today. These are the types of projects you can expect to hear on The Place of Sound, and all of them are produced by students here at Carleton University. They're what gets produced in Comms 4501 Digital Media Production, a fourth-year workshop course in the Communications and Media Studies program. Hi folks, welcome back to The Place of Sound. Thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna have to get really cheesy on this episode, and I think it goes without saying that I am grateful for the opportunity and the experience and the platform that this role has provided me with. I'm graduating, so I'm going to be continuing my studies in communications at Concordia. The Place of Sound and working with Vincent Andersani, I think, really brought me to this point. So it's crazy to be saying goodbye. And I warned you that I'm going to be cheesy. So I've done my due diligence. Now you have to deal with it. With all endings come new beginnings, and I'm here today to present The Place of Sound with its brand new beginning and its new host, Kateryna. We sat down a few weeks ago, Kateryna and I, to talk about her personal history, her academic trajectory and goals, and how she found herself working with Vincent and The Place of Sound. So here's our conversation. Okay, everyone, I am here today with the brand new host of The Place of Sound, Kateryna. Hello. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, just before we started recording, we were talking about what it's like to go from the journalist to the person being interviewed, and how's that feeling?
It's strange, not gonna lie, but it's gonna be interesting for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We did a interview just like this when Sama left and I took over the role, and re-listening to that is a bit brutal, but it's always fun, and it's an important episode in The Place of Sound when we transition from one host to another. So the semester's over, finally. How are you feeling? How are you adjusting to being out of school for the summer?
It's definitely something, because I just finished my third year of studies and I'm about to enter my co-op year, and I will be doing probably 3 or 2 different internships throughout the year, and it's gonna be very interesting and exciting experience for me, because I did work with some Canadian employers before, but this time it will be more so connected to media production and design, my program, and just I will be testing my skills that I learned throughout this study experience.
How did you end up in Carleton? I want to talk about a little bit where you're from.
Sure.
And how you found your way to Ottawa.
Yeah, it's it's a story for sure.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So I'm Ukrainian, and I have been born in Kiev, Ukraine, and in 2022, when the war started, my family and I went to Western Ukraine first, and then we went over for to Europe. And then, just out of the blue, a good friend, a very like, you know, those friends that you meet in high school and then you stay in touch throughout the whole, like, your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So that friend of my stepmom's invited us to Canada. She was like, please take everybody you know, everything you need, and just come over here. I will do everything for you. I just want you to be safe. I just want you to be in Canada. So that's what she basically did for us. She brought us here, and because she lived in Ottawa, that's how we ended up here. It wasn't really by some specific choosing,
Mm-hmm.
but we weren't opposed to be in Canada, in Ottawa and Canada. I think right now even glad that we ended up in Ottawa in particular, just because from the cities I visited, Ottawa is probably a sweet spot. Like, it's not as busy and cold as Toronto. Cold, I mean, all glass and business people, but also Montreal is super artsy, but at the same time, it can be overwhelming. So Ottawa is kind of the safe spot between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's how we ended up in Ottawa eventually. It was in April of 2022. So it has been 3 years now since I moved here. Then we came here. Everything was new. Everything was very overwhelming in a way, because it's a different experience when you move to a country where you know nothing and you need to start everything from scratch. And I think a lot of people do not even realize how many things you need to start from scratch, like friend groups or even some bureaucracy things. Like, when you don't know how the system works, it's very hard. Or even some customs. Because for me in Ukraine, some things were so obvious, or some things I took for granted. And then here, everybody's like, no, we don't have that. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
What do you mean? Like, that's so essential. And they're like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So some cultural shocks like that were very interesting to experience, I guess.
And you were starting university like right around the time that,
Yeah.
like right when you came to Ottawa, right?
Yeah, I was in online high school for like last 2 years of my studies, so I had to finish my high school online, and I did while already being here, because the war started when I was in 11th grade of school. In Ukraine, we have only 11 grades, and I finished high school and I had to go to university, and then my stepmom was looking for options for me and my stepsister, and she was searching very actively, and then Carleton came up with an offer for Ukrainian students, which was very helpful. And yeah, that's how I enrolled, because it was either 12th grade of school here or starting university right away. And of course, I wanted to go to
Yeah,
uni.
yeah.
So that's how we ended up in Carleton.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've been here for 3 years now. Does it feel like home at all yet?
I think it started to feel like home last spring and summer. I fell in love with Ottawa when it's green and blooming, and it's so beautiful, and so much is going on during the warm season. But then I'm going into seasonal depression once it's winter.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not a cold person. I can stand it, I guess. I have to, but I would rather summer be all year long. But I guess it's a balance. You feel great and you have euphoria for, I don't know, what, 5 months,
Yeah.
May to October, and then it's seasonal depression again.
Yeah, yeah. As soon as November hits in Ottawa, it's over. But we're getting into, I mean, yesterday was beautiful. We're getting into the like peak Ottawa experience.
Tulip Festival is coming up.
Yeah, Tulip Festival. And you were saying that the reason you chose Carleton was a very different experience than people who are from Canada or coming to Canada, not like out of escaping a war. And you had to choose it because you had to pick something. But how are you liking your program now? How are you liking your school experience specifically? Because you're in media production and design with a minor in communications, right?
Yeah, so I do like my program, and I still think that it was the best choice for me, even though a lot of my peers might not think that way about the program because it's quite new. Therefore, it's not perhaps tested in a lot of ways, and it's quite unique because media production and design kind of connects journalism, intermedia design. It connects a lot of things. When I say to people that I did interviews, coding, and some other stuff like law and ethics, they were like, what are you doing? Like, where
Yeah.
are you? What's the program? Like, it's hard to explain. But I recently did an interview with one of the journalist students who basically told me that yes, right now it's essential for journalists to have all those multimedia skills, just because it's not enough right now to just know how to write a story. So I'm glad I got to experience and learn small tidbits of everything, even though I might not be a super expert in any of that, but at least I understand how everything works. So I do like my program, and my stepsister is there with me, so
Oh,
I have a
nice.
study pal.
That's very nice. Were you always a minor in communications, or did you add that on after?
So in my first year, I chose a minor in psychology,
Mm.
and I took Psych 101, and I was just excited with it, and it was probably one of the best courses I've taken. But then I also took Comms 101, actually 102 with Vincent, and I also fell in love with it. And later on, I decided that I don't want to pursue psychology as a minor. I like the subject just for it, my free time, and I like to understand how brain works. However, I'm not gonna pair my future career with it. And I thought about where can I change, and as I already had a couple of courses in communications, I thought why not. And Vincent made it great for me
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, okay, maybe there's more professors like that in communication program, and I wasn't wrong. Couple of courses that I feel were the best for me, or like that I liked the most and where I thrived, were from communications program.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a journalism student, and I had a similar feeling when I added communications to my degree. The professors really, I think in any program, make or break it, but there's so many cool things coming out of the communications department, and it really is the perfect program to pair with a journalism degree or a media production and design degree. They're like soulmates. Well, you were saying you were in Vincent's class, and that was your first ever communications class was with Vincent.
Yeah.
And is that how you found out about the place of sound?
Yeah. So last semester of my third year, I had this course called Civic Engagement 2 with Caroline O'Neill, and so our assignment throughout the whole semester was cut into three parts, and the last, or like, no, the middle part of it was creating podcasts. And she, knowing that Vincent has Place of Sound as his project, she brought him in to sit in one of our classes, and I was excited to see him, and he didn't look very interested sitting there, but uh, but then he noticed me in that class and remembered me, and then he told us about place of sound, and then he saw me the next day in one of his classes, and he was like, okay, this face looks familiar. And that's how we kind of ended up talking about place of sound with him, and for production of podcasts and audio in general. But yeah, Vincent, I don't know, I remember my utter shock and fascination when I was at first year and it was second semester, and so far professors were 50-50. Like, some of them were great, some of them looked not interested in what they're doing at all, so a bit disengaging. But then Vincent remembers everybody's name and calls everybody by name, and I'm like, are you doing this?
Sure.
Charmed me into loving communication, and I was like, okay, I got it.
Yeah, and it's a hard thing to do sometimes.
I cannot remember anybody's name.
Yeah. So aside from just knowing Vincent, what about audio media or even like radio, the place of sound? Like, what about that interests you as, I guess, a journalist?
Definitely. So the reason why I chose media production and design in the first place was because in the past, when I was in high school, I loved to do video edits, and I kind of came from this video editing background. But then when I started to work with sound, I realized that it's also an art to show something through sound bites, through combination of sounds, through layering, and kind of how can you tell a story and show people something through sound only, and how can you draw a picture that you want in someone's mind through pictures and kind of through sounds more. And so I was fascinated when we started working with sound in my program, and I realized that I haven't spent so much time thinking about the importance of sound, even though I realized how important it is. So that sparked my interest, and I started to, I don't know, explore everything with sound. I even have my own DJ controller, and I'm starting to learn how to mix music. So hopefully,
Yay!
I'm going into all sound
Yeah.
kind of trope.
It's DJ summer. It really is. Maybe I'll get a little bored.
You should. It's yeah, it's fascinating. I like laid my hands on it just 2 days ago for the first time, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Such a cool toy.
That's so exciting. Yeah. So it's just like once you realize the power of sound, like it's hard to let go of. I've experienced the same exact thing, and there is something really powerful about the ability to show something and to evoke emotion without like any visuals. It seems harder to do, but it's rewarding.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, you use different tools in a way to make people captivated in what you're producing. And I feel like right now, especially with, it's not only that the sound is great, it's also that the medium is shifting more to the sound, if you know what I mean, like audiobooks, podcasts, it's all is on the rise today, very much so than it was, I don't know, 10 years ago, because everybody wants to multitask and people's attention spans are shrinking. Therefore, you need to do something meanwhile you're doing something else. Therefore, you much rather would listen to a podcast, or even if the podcast has a video attached to it, you won't look at it. You will like cook or draw or walk, but you will listen to what the person is saying. So now it's more important what you say and the sound that comes out rather than the picture.
For sure. I completely agree, and it's one of those cool things about audio and about being in communications is that once you like strip all Yeah, I guess like the visual indicators, you really have to focus on what you're saying, how you're saying it, how you're like just tune into all the ways that sound really has an impact on the message you're getting across, which is really cool. And Sam asked me this question when I was taking over, and I was really mad at her because I was like, this is such a hard question, but answer it in, it made me think, and answer it in any
retribution.
Yeah, retribution. Yeah, this is like the place of sound, handing over the torch. You have to answer this question is, what do you hope for the future of the place of sound? What do you want to hear more of or less of, or what direction do you think you'll take it?
I probably want to continue what you did with breaking the stereotype of Ottawa being a boring place.
Yeah.
And I want to explore more sound events and everything connected to sound, because summer, as we already talked about, is a very good time for everybody in Ottawa to get outdoorsy and fun and just experience life. So I guess I'm gonna take a lot of field trips and kind of go with my mic somewhere and interview people on what are their thoughts about sound events in Ottawa and how do they experience them and what do they mean to them, because I'm curious about exploring, okay, I know my perspective and perspective of my friends on, for example, parties and how we love it and what it gives us. But then I know a lot of people also might complain on sound or not feel the same way. Therefore, I think that with bringing more perspectives into the picture, I can not determine, but at least give them space and maybe find a sweet spot and realize more things. And I'm curious on interviewing different municipal leaders, perhaps, or just getting to know Ottawa better through sound, I guess, because and take all the listeners on this journey with me. Just because, as I said before, it's only been 3 years here for me, and I know some things, but of course, I'm not as privy to everything as someone who was born here. So, yeah, it will be my exploration of Ottawa through sound.
Yeah, that's I love to hear that, because it's nice to like learn alongside the listeners and to treat it as to not only explore the things you're already confident in or know a lot about or already think are cool, but to really be committed to the learning and learning through sound, which I think is the best way to learn.
Definitely. And there's so many interesting people and kind of even streams of music. Like there's a whole, like there's a rock community, there's an Afrobeats community, there's a techno community, and all of those people have their collectives and their places. Yeah, I think that I have definitely some people that I want to bring into the show.
For sure, for sure. And well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. Have you had fun?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, good. I wanted to do it as good as Sama. Yeah, well thank you, and you're gonna do great with the place of sound.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I want to thank Kateryna for sitting down and speaking with me. I have the most faith in the world that she's going to do amazing things with the show, and I'm actually really excited to just be a listener once again and to see how the place of sound is transformed over the next few months. I'm going to wrap up soon because I don't want to dwell too much on the change of things, because the important things like the sounds of students and community members all remain at the core of this show, but it's just occurring to me that this is the last time I will have full control of the mic. And I want to thank Dr. Vincent Andrusani for giving me the freedom to follow my curiosity and to explore that in my audio work. And I want to thank my friends and family for listening to me and for being subjected to hours sitting next to me while I edit in complete silence. To Stefan Warwick, my very good friend who made the theme music, which I think is so, so cool and so good. And for the last time ever, thank you for tuning into The Place of Sound. I've been your host, Natalie Hall, and happy listening.